Hello, and welcome again. And today we are going to talk about some additional details related to claims adjudication. As we know, the claim itself is treated as a subdomain because of the massive data processing and the information which are required for the successful processing of the claim. And we are going to discuss some facts with reference to the Facets, which is a Trizetto product, very demanding in the market, very latest technology which are used in the market, and very demanding. So for the Medicare, Medicaid perspective also, very successful product. So let's understand what are the things the product has to offer and how that helps in the claim processing. Moving on. Claim itself is divided into multiple subsections, and how those things contributes is can we say that okay, just the date, the type of service, the place of service is successful for the processing of the claim? No, there are many business rules which are running behind the scene, whether a claim processor or a subject matter expert is aware or not. From the claim processing perspective, there is something called split claim, where there is a limitation on the system and how much a system can handle. So if there is a limitation where we need to split the claim, we have received the, let's say, the 5 date of service, and we need to split that claim, and first claim has to be 2 days of service and the another one has to be for the remaining 3 days of service. How do we do that? Facets have a very good functionality, very good feature which allows the claim processor to split the claim into multiple claims. You just have to provide from where you want to split the claim, and then it will enable the functionality. It will allow you the options to split one claim into multiple claims. Date editing. Date editing in the sense, let's say if there is some changes needed with reference to the date of service which is received on the claim, system allows the processor to edit the date. Duplicates. Duplicate in terms of if there is a claim which is already processed in the history and the system has received a new claim, Facets have an excellent functionality to handle those type of situations where the system can disallow the claims upfront depending upon what kind of a setting is done in the configuration. So it can allow, maybe you have an exact date. So if the system is finding an exact date match between the current claim, so let's say there are 3 lines where 2 lines have the exact duplicate information, the claim can be, the line can be rejected, stating that okay, that the line 3 is duplicate of line 1. On the other hand, the duplicate also works with the historical claim, where the current claim have an exact information which is there in the historical claim which is already processed, or maybe it is in process. So that's a duplicate functionality which reduces lot of work, lot of administrative work, where the manual intervention will require or any manual work effort is needed. So it all comes down to how we set up the duplicate logic. Interim billing. Just think about it. From the claim processing, there is a claim for 1/1/2013 where the claim is in process, where the payment is not yet done, but rest of the job is done on the claim. So the claim is almost finalized, but the claim payment is not yet released. In the meanwhile, the system receives the second claim where some piece of the information is already there. So the system, the Facet have a functionality where the system will alert the users to say that, hey, there is already a claim which is halfway done. Is there any changes needed? So it's kind of it's not going to stop the processing, but it's kind of an alert, which is the claim is flagged that there is something which is already halfway done. Look into that, and if you can. So interim claim in the sense that okay, the claim is received for 1/1/2013 and another claim coming on 1/15/2013 where the 1/1/13 claim is not yet processed. That 1/15 claim will be alerted by the system to say there is a claim which is from 1/1/2013 which is not yet processed. Now given that point, system allows the processor, that processor have the flexibility that you can add the 115 claim as part of 1/1/2013 claim. So if that's the case, then you are reducing the overhead with the new claim. So you can do the amendment to the existing claim, which is halfway done, and take appropriate action. So that's what the interim billing is all about. And most of the case, this is very useful, very helpful in terms of outlier payment. And how the outlier payment works is altogether a separate concept we can discuss in some different topics at different times. Ambulatory patient classification, APC. We hear a lot about APC and the ASC. So let's understand here what is APC. Ambulatory patient classification, it has more to do with the outpatient hospital services. Wherever the place of service is hospital, but it is the outpatient service where the person doesn't have to stay overnight in the hospital, and the services are performed on the patient, and then the patient is discharged from the hospital premises. So that's what the outpatient is all about, and that has to do with how the outpatient payment is done. Back in sometime in 2000, January timeframe, Medicare implemented the new prospective payment, and that is specifically for the outpatient prospective payment. That's what it is, which affects the code method used for the coding methodology used for the hospital outpatient claims. So this new method of APC, which is ambulatory patient classification, replaces the APG payment group, which is your ambulatory payment group, which was the old system, and this has replaced that old system with the new APC payment classification logic. So this is what all about the ambulatory patient classification, and when we get to the details that what are the intrinsic things we need to learn about ambulatory patient classification, we can get into the details and try to understand that, and how does that help in terms of supporting the information, what kind of information is required for the APC classification, how it works, how does it help in the payment. All these things we can discuss in the detailed session of APC. Diagnosis related groups. Diagnosis related groups, it has more to do with wherever it is very commonly used as DRG, and the DRG means that how do you group the specific diagnosis, and based on that allow the payment. Something specific like you are grouping the diagnosis with the reference of there are different factors like age, gender. So these are separate factors where you group the diagnosis, and whenever the service is received and the diagnosis belongs to one of that group, the payment will be done according to that. So Facets have a very nice model where you can set up the diagnosis related groups, and it will help understand it will elaborate on the claim processing and help the claim engine, help the processor for their ease of payment processing. Moving on, service related parameters. When we talk about it, it's nothing but just an additional parameter which can help the claim processor or the automated process claims in terms of what are the additional factors needs to be added as part of the claim processing. When we say service related parameters, these parameters are nothing but your accumulators, then your rules, any additional rules, and these rules, these parameters are linked together through the benefit, where we are setting up the benefit for the member or the subscriber or the dependent, we can call it as. Wherever we are setting up the plan, that's where we set these things as part of it. So what happens whenever the claim is received, depending upon the way we have referenced the accumulators, which are nothing but your benefit limits, any benefit wherever we talk about that, okay, the limit is associated with that the limit is, then we set up the rule IDs and we linked it together. So when the claim is received, the benefit pulls up that information, and according to that, it allows that rule to be processed on the claim. Accumulators. What is accumulator? Accumulator is nothing but wherever you have the very restricted limit on the services. For example, you have that $1,000 is the limit per person, and $3,000 is the yearly limit for the fiscal year for per family. So that is one way of accumulator. Or let's say if we say that there are 60 days bed charges for the hospital is covered as part of the HMO plan, that is the another type of accumulator. If we want to understand on a very layman terms, then just try to understand that people do go for the physical therapy visit. Now we see that always there is a limitation on the physical therapy visit, that the number of services which will be covered by the insurance plan. That's what the accumulator is all about. So we can say that, okay, if the person or the member have 10 physical therapy visits, that means they are talking about the accumulators. So the accumulator can be used something like, okay, if the person have used for 5 days, that means the 5 days will go as, okay, 5 days of accums are already used and the remainder is 5 more days. So that's what the accumulator is all about. Capitation and the prepayment. What is capitation? Capitation has to do with the member encounter. What is member encounter? Member encounter have something to do with that, okay, it's a member detail, and how the provider is getting paid, whether he is getting paid per member per month. So let's assume that there is a $10, for example. This is just a hypothetical number I'm putting together to explain it in more detail. So let's say the $10 is per month per member charge agreed by the insurance company to pay to the provider. So that whether the member takes the services for that given month or not, the doctor will be paid for that month. So whenever the doctor receives the payment in advance in one way, the reason being is, let's take an example. Let's take a step back. Okay, let me elaborate that. Let's take an example that the Dr. John is a doctor who is enrolled under the insurance plan of insurance company. Now, Dr. John have 5 members, and one of the members is Paul. Now, Paul takes the visitor, go to the for the office visit in the month of March, whereas insurance have already paid for it for the January and February, depending upon that agreement, that, okay, $10 per person per month the doctor is going to receive whether the patient visit the doctor or not. That happens, the capitation has more to do with the HMO network, health maintenance organization. So that's how the payment will be done, and that's why it call it as prepayments. That means if the Paul takes the services in the month of March, the doctor have already received half of the payment or some part of the payment in the month of Jan and the Feb. If the payment if the claim which is submitted for the March already exceeds the amount which is paid to the doctor, then the remainder will be paid to the doctor what was paid in the month of Jan and Feb. If not, the doctor will get the claim paid in full. So that's what the capitation and the prepayment is all about. Again, this is a very big topic and very advanced topic from the Medicare and the Medicaid reporting perspective, because they have a lot to do with the capitation. Clinical audits. What are clinical audits? Clinical audits are the, I would say, subsection of the overall claim processing, where we can get into the further details and talk about more towards it. But again, all these things, all these small items contributes towards the claim processing, and all inclusive becomes a claims adjudication process. So that's how it is handled in Facets. That's how Facets handle all these data elements, data points together, and help the system adjudicate the claim. If you are looking for some more help, support for your company, for your organization in terms of the implementation of Facets, you can reach out to us at 848-200-0448. And if you have any questions, feel free to call our support team. And thank you and have a good day.